I cannot believe that my family farm and my home state of Nebraska are going to be flat broke within 6 months. I cannot believe this is happening. I cannot believe that the undocumented workers who basically drive our entire agricultural economy just got up and left. They just left. Why? Because we voted for Trump? Because we voted to have them torn from their homes in the middle of the night by ICE because we wanted to see their families ripped apart because we don't like brown people, so they just abandoned us in our hour of need before we were able to like replace them with, I don't know, like white teenagers or something like that, like before we were able to identify and employ an entire demographic of people who's willing to make less than minimum wage for terrible working conditions. I can't believe this is happening. If only somebody had told us that this was a possibility. If only somebody like Kamala Harris or Tim Walz or Bernie Sanders or any of the liberal politicians, Jasmine Crockett, Gavin Newsom from California, or, almost every major media outlet, or every economist in the nation, or all of the liberals. If only somebody had told us that undocumented workers are absolutely vital to the existence of our agricultural industry.
So, for all the farmers that live in Nebraska, you voted for Trump knowing that 70% of your workforce on your farms are migrants. Now, apparently, Nebraska is 6 months away from bankruptcy. Still voted for the mass deportation of 70% of your workforce on your farms, and now are complaining that your farms and your livelihood will not survive it.
So at this point, does Nebraska even care about Nebraska? I don't really know because I don't follow the politics like that, but it seems like they're in their FAFO phase, and it is what it is. We're finding out. Y'all were told, but you still did it anyway, so, yeah, here we are.
In the heartland of America, a political storm is brewing. Nebraska, a state that overwhelmingly supported DT, is now facing an economic crisis. MAGA voters who once trusted DT to bring about changes are now on the brink of bankruptcy. Let's dive into details of this unfolding drama. During his campaign, DT promised to revitalize the American economy, bring back jobs and support rural community. In Nebraska, these promises resonated deeply. Voters believed that Trump would be the one to turn things around and bring prosperity. However, the reality has been starkly different. Many businesses in Nebraska are struggling to stay afloat. The agriculture sector and backbone of the state's economy has been hit hard by trade wars and fluctuating market price. Farmers and ranchers are finding it increasingly difficult to make ends meet.
So I'm seeing a lot of people being confused about how, Nebraskans and people in agricultural communities can be voting against their own interests. And I have a lot of experience with these people. I'm related to them. And obviously when I talk about them, I don't mean all farmers and I don't mean all the people in these states. But in my experience, the farmers have been living a fairy tale for many generations. They have been told by the government and by our own society, that they're extremely valuable, which they are, but that they are self-made men and that they exist in a vacuum and that we would be lost without them. And most weird, that they don't receive any kind of assistance, that they're self-made, which is a fairy tale. They receive a lot of assistance, but this is the story they've been telling themselves. This is a story that the government has been telling them. And this is the story that they've passed on to their children and their children's children, because they want to glamorize. They want to make what they're doing idyllic. They don't want their kids to leave the farm. They don't want their kids to go to the big city. They want them to stay and they want them to keep the farm. So their kids and their kids and their kids have all been raised with this idea that as farmers, they are heroic. They are, the backbone of America, even though at this point, the backbone of America, if it's farmers, then it's completely made out of like fabricated steel and been replaced by a neurosurgeon like 30 times. They don't see that. So they don't understand. When you live in a fairy tale your whole life, and when you've been raised in a fairy tale, and when your father was raised in a fairy tale, you don't use critical thinking skills. You don't analyze what you're doing. You just keep going with the fairy tale. And you don't choose a political candidate that forces you to think. You choose the political candidate that encourages you to stay in the fairy tale. So that's how they keep voting for the bad people. That's how they keep voting against their own interests, because they're in a fairy tale. They're so enmeshed in it that they don't want somebody waking them up. They want somebody who's going to keep them asleep. And unfortunately, they're going to have to wake up sometime.
Nebraska is not too happy right now with what's going on in politics. And they're overwhelmingly supported President Trump. But a lot of them now are saying they made a mistake, that a lot of their farms and ranches are looking to not be able to survive because they've lost a lot of their workers, which happen to be a lot of illegal immigrants. Some are getting on Facebook and other media sites and saying that within so many months, they're going to be bankrupt. There's one person that said 300-year-old family ranch is going to go under. 300 years old, that means 1725, there was a private ranch, family ranch out in Nebraska. I wonder what the Native Americans thought about that. Yeah, that doesn't make no sense. But a lot of them are saying, we didn't realize that it was going to do this to our state and our economy. Y'all are playing out there. You know exactly what you were doing. And then you bit yourself in the toe. And it's not good. But I'm wishing y'all the best of luck. I hope your state don't go bankrupt. Maybe all the money that President is taking from Illinois, not paying us, maybe he can give it to y'all since you voted for him. I don't know. Just a quick idea. Call up Doge. Or why don't y'all get out there and do the work yourself? Get up there and get to those fields. Curious. All right. Or maybe pay $5 million and you can get some of them immigrants back on that farm. Right? Have a good day. And best of luck to Nebraska. Bye.
MAGA voters in Nebraska are now facing the harsh consequences of their trust in Trump. Many are on the verge of bankruptcy, unable to pay bills or support their families. The sense of betrayal is palpable as they grapple with realization that their promised change has not materialized. Social media has been buzzing with the reaction to the economic crisis in Nebraska. Hashtag like MAGA regrets Nebraska struggles are trending as people share their stories and express their frustration. The online community is rallying around those affected, offering support and solidarity. Now, the situation in Nebraska is not isolated incidents. Across the country, many rural communities that support HT are facing similar challenges. Economic policies and trade decisions have had far-reaching impacts, leaving many feeling abandoned and disillusioned.
My oh my, y'all. So Nebraska is about to be bankrupt. Them farmers that voted for their boy, their workers done fled. The workers done fled because they don't want immigration to come get them. My oh my, the man you thought had your back. Now you can't run your farm. Your state about to go bankrupt. I guess I'll be over here minding my 92% business. Now, tell me in the comments if y'all feel sorry for them people. Do y'all feel sorry for them? Do y'all feel sorry for them? Let the violins come out. That's what.
Nebraska farmers were hit hard by the trade wars, especially under its tariffs with China. These farmers were suddenly dealing with the retaliatory tariffs on products they sell like soybeans, corn, and beef. Prices dropped and international markets, crucial for Nebraska farmers, were disrupted. Farmers were watching their profits shrink, but still they kept supporting the man who promised to protect them. But why? Even with the trade war hurting them, many farmers didn't see the immediate impact of policy shifts, like the 2017 tax cuts, which overwhelmingly benefited the wealthiest Americans and corporations, but didn't do much to address the long-term struggles in local community. Now, the Farm Bill wasn't exactly helping them. It didn't go far enough to protect the backbone of Nebraska economy, but these farmers kept voting Republican, hoping things would turn around. Now, as time goes on, many of these farmers are realizing they've been paying the price for their political choices. Inflation and rising input costs are squeezing the margin. Fertilizers prices have skyrocketed and fuel costs have made it more expensive to run their operations. Meanwhile, federal support hasn't been enough to offset the rising costs. This is where the regret starts to hit home. This story isn't just isolated to Nebraska. Across the country, farmers in rural areas are starting to see the crack in the GOP's promises. Many of these voters are beginning to ask themselves, though, questions: was it worthy? Did I vote against my own livelihood? In a state like Iowa, Wisconsin, and even some parts of Missouri, farmers are starting to push back against their very policies that hurt them. So there you have it. Nebraska MAGA's farmers are facing the harsh reality of voting against their own interests. And it's painful lesson in how political promises don't always match up with the day-to-day needs of working class people. Now, it's a FAFO. It's a real thing for these MAGA farmers. The F around and find out the F around was supporting policies that hurt their livelihood, and now they are finding out that they are one paying the prices. It's a wake-up call for all of us. Our votes have consequences, and sometimes those consequences don't become clear until it's too late. Alright, now thanks for watching. I am Fikazo. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.